So the challenge in the title to my talk isn't really to children, but to us. For us not to impose our cultures on children, our prejudices, our views, our impediments to their imagination, to their natural wonderment. And truly that is a huge responsibility that we have in after school. Something we can model in after school. And that is for us to be the custodians of our planet's most valuable resource, which is the imagination of children. Thanks a lot.
I do an after-school program in Kansas. My name is Jean Phillips, and I'm very much into diversity. You know, not being born in the United States, but having the opportunity to come to the States and live in Washington, D.C. and in Kansas, and having the opportunity to meet different children and realize, like I said to them, I see in every boy my son, in every girl my daughter, but I am trying my best to open up their eyes, because I say I'm not teaching you for today, but for 10 years from now. So you're going to be interacting with adults from around the world. But our program is very diverse, so we have African Americans, Indians from India, we have Caucasians and Hispanics. So I explained to them that this is going to be your world. This is going to be your future. You play together now. So when you become bosses and CEOs and whatever you're doing, the name is not strange, the accent is not strange. So I'm glad I chose to come to this workshop today. Thank you very much.
Thank you for saying what you just did, and I could see you were going along with it.
Yeah, I got a question. You said that the youth, I'm not sure what age bracket you would consider young, don't want to impose this culture on other cultures. It sounds implied that there's a point where that changes. When do you think that that changes? I should say, like, what age bracket? What do you think? High school, college? When do you?
That's a good question. If you had that mother right there, you know, it might last a long time or forever and not change. If your parents were gang members, and plenty are, and I'm not disparaging, that's a reality we face, you might be taught, you know, racial prejudice pretty early on and live in a violent surrounding. But it isn't natural. Children aren't born racist. They might go to a place and wonder why somebody's skin is black or why somebody's skin is white. Sally and I were out in the bush of Malawi, and we went to some preschools that we were helping to fund. And Sally loves preschools, and she marches in there. She's so excited. And the 2-year-olds went wild. They were screaming with terror. They'd never seen a white person before. So you got to explain, well, she's okay. You know, her skin didn't burn off. But I think it really depends entirely on the environment. It's a very important question. And certainly we can model an after-school environment in which it doesn't exist, does not exist, and help people to understand that issue.
Do you have any specific strategies in working with after-school programs and working with school systems and trying to get this message across? I mean, fundamentally, I believe all this. I've worked with kids all my life, but still, you know, we have so many guidelines and restrictions that we do, which is our reality as well, in working with those systems. So do you have anything that you could recommend?
Well, I really am involved, many of us are, in actually realizing this is a critical turning point in American history. We really need to seize this moment. After all, our Secretary of Education just spoke recently on the importance of after school. And stop being so defensive about developmental education. All of the scientific research, and I passed out an extensive bibliography just of some of the books that I quoted and other books to show you we're right. We don't need to keep proving we're right. It's been proven. So I think the answer to your question is we have to take the high road and say This is what we're about. We're about kids. We're about kids' success. And take that to our local governments, to our state governments, and to Washington. You've got to argue for it. You don't get legislation passed just by wanting it. You have to do it. But I believe the time is open and we need to do it, because we do know the answer to President Obama's question. We do know it. Schools are killing the curiosity of our kids. So we have to persuade the people around him, and he's chosen senior staff members very wisely, and in the field of education, and others, that this is what we need to do. So my answer is, roll up your sleeves and let's do it.
Hi, my name is Matt Cool. I'm pretty new into everything. I'm a new professional. I'm still an intern with United States Air Force Youth Programs. But I have been a huge proponent of after-school programs, lived in them, worked up through them, got to where I am through them. But I'm wondering, in your opinion, at what level, local, state, federal, do you believe will be the catalyst for this change, this developmental education practices? Which one do you feel is the most essential to get us moving in the right direction where we want to go?
I think they're all essential. I think they're all essential. I gave you the example of a small town, Kingston, and then we switched over and talked about federal policy. And, one of the things they got rid of was ROTC. That's absurd. I mean, there are many high school kids that definitely benefit from ROTC. They want that, those kids, middle school on up, they are very rebellious, and they attack authority, they crave authority. So that's a place that's important. To me, it was just another one of those appalling lack of understanding of kids when they said that ROTC could no longer be considered a legitimate physical education program in high schools. I thought that was absurd. So the answer is, like what you're saying, wherever you are, the message has to be put out there that kids, you need to provide kids the opportunity to be good at what they want to be good at, whether that's learning how to be marchers in ROTC, or it's playing drums, or playing on a computer.
I'm just fascinated by the Venezuela story. I don't think I want to ask about it, except I'd like to know more about it, or where could I find out more about it, and how did it happen? Something so unique and fabulous.
Well, it happened because in the 70s, these music instructors, said, this is what we're going to do. We are going to form orchestras in our neighborhoods, in garages. And they started doing that. There have been 8 different governments in Venezuela since this started. I remember one time somebody asked Gustavo, well, our kids only like 3 minutes of music. How are you going to get them to like Mahler? And he said, the first thing you do is hand them a violin, because that is such an amazing experience for them. It shows you care. And then you teach them how to play it. And as soon as they can play it even a little bit, they join an orchestra. And I gave you that wonderful quote from Dr. Abreu on that orchestra and what it does for them. So that if you start something successful like that, it's going to grow on its own, because the creativity of children is being allowed to rise to the top. There was a time when El Sistema couldn't even afford musical instrument, but they kept at it, and it became what it is today.